Hi everyone, this is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels, and I have a topic today that I'll be talking about that's actually very close to my heart. It's all about solar and helping our planet as well as helping ourselves as well. Before I introduce our guest, a little bit about J Cooper Travels, because if you're new to the talk show, I started this last year. And my background is that I'm an attorney, but I'm also a special educator, and I'm also involved as a certified travel agent in the travel space. So I can help you with both discount travel as well as obtaining your travel insurance. And the J Cooper Travel Show started last year during COVID, and it was supposed to be just about where we go travel wise, but it ended up as I was meeting so many people on LinkedIn that their stories were so phenomenal, I wanted to share. So the travel is not just about where we go physically in life, but also what we do professionally, personally, as well as spiritually. So I have the pleasure today of talking with an industry professional in the area of solar. And I'm going to have him introduce himself and the name of his company. And in case you're not familiar with podcasts or YouTube, there's a little block of information right below the podcast, which will have all of his contact information. And we're going to be repeating that about 3 times during our show. So that way you don't have to worry if you're driving that you are not going to be able to remember, because we want everyone to stay safe as they drive, not text and not write. So how are you doing today? And would you introduce yourself and also your company? How are you doing today?
Okay. I'm doing great, Jackie. Thank you and thank you, Jacqui Cooper Travels family. Really appreciate you hosting me and welcoming me to this lovely podcast.
So what is the name of the company that we're going to be talking about?
The name of my company is the Right Way Team of Pure Solar Systems. We are a local, when I say local, meaning Maryland, DC, Maryland, and Virginia owned company. We can, through our partners, we can install nationwide, all 50 states, plus Puerto Rico. and yeah, so, and we do everything from design to installation. We have home solar, single family homes, multifamily homes, commercial solar, residential and office buildings, churches, other commercial buildings such as that. All, and in addition to that, we also construct solar farms on land. We have a lucrative lease process, and can be used to generate revenue for landowners, and still they would maintain ownership of their land.
So that's phenomenal. So why don't you go ahead and share the email or the way that they can individuals can contact you, and then I will start asking you different questions. What's the best way for them to contact you?
Okay, so the best way, again, my name is Oronde. That's Oronde. That's Oscar Robert Oscar Nancy David Echo. Last name Wright with a W. Don't forget the W. That's the win. Don't
exactly the W for the win. That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, it's true.
The best phone number for me is 202-630-6741. And the best email is owright, that's again, O as in Oscar, Wright with a W, at puresolarsystems.com.
I love that. So how did you get involved with solar? I always like talking about people's personal stories before we actually talk about the business side of it.
Excellent, excellent. I'm glad you asked that question. It's actually a very interesting story. I'm from New York originally. So those of you from the Northeast know back in the early, I guess, 90s, late 80s, early 90s, they had basically a real estate boom. So they basically had where you could go to Manhattan, Harlem, or even Brooklyn, some different sections of the city and get a house for $1. As long as you promise to fix it up and live in it for a certain number of years, you can get the house for $1. So I said, wow, that's, amazing, that they're, giving these things away. But I had just finished high school at the time. And my girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, was very big on education. So she wanted to take a road trip. So we came here to Washington, D.C. To visit Howard University. And then I went to Atlanta and visited her family. But I came back to Howard. I loved Howard. I loved the campus. I loved the energy of the school. And coincidentally, in 2001, Howard, Washington, D.C. was doing the same thing, the dollar house. So that's how I got to DC. So basically, long story short, a college buddy of mine, he was in the architecture and engineering. He now lives in Philly. And guess what? Philly was doing what? The dollar for house. So, it was just like a recurring theme that, I would, kind of get involved either just at the cusp or just, on the tail end of it. So it actually ended up that the gentleman that I'm working with now at Pure Solar Systems, the owner of the company, is my college friend's brother-in-law. So I was up there, I was up in Philly checking out, the scene, looking at the plans, where they were, planning to build and expand. And he's like, yeah, man, my brother-in-law is coming up. He's in solar. He said, you guys, you have similar energies. I think you'd work well together. And he lives in Maryland. So we met, we hit it off. And that's basically, through different iterations in different solar companies. And then after working for a few other people, he decided to open up his own shop. And brought me along. So that's how I got into solar.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I know I've been thinking about solar for a while, and then we connected. And so what's the history of energy, or the story behind solar, and also your company and everything else like that? Because I know that there's a lot of different companies out there.
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. Well, the history of solar is actually is very long and storied. Actually, for those who are familiar with Jimmy Carter, he actually was the first president to put solar panels on the White House. And guess what? Ronald Reagan came and took him right off. So, as they say, elections have consequences. Probably been, if Jimmy Carter would have got his second term, who knows where we would have been. But yeah, so it was that. So this technology actually goes back to the late 50s, early 60s, in terms of panel production and getting the energy from the sun, because the sun is actually our most abundant resource, and it's readily available. You don't have to dig in the ground. You don't have to add toxic chemicals to ecosystem. You don't have to worry about doing deep sea drilling in the ocean, worrying about polluting. For those that remember the Exxon Valdez, Canada, and then what was that? The Deepwater Horizon, the BP, when they broke their oil rig and had all that toxic oil spewing into the ocean, the bottom of the ocean at that. So yeah, it's the sun comes up every day, and if it doesn't come up, we have bigger problems. So there's that. So And then so with that, the technology has actually, been advancing at a slower clip, and that's only because of, the power of the fossil fuel lobby. So now, fast forward to today, it's actually more cost effective to be a renewable, to produce energy through a renewable source than it is to than it is drilling and digging up, oil and natural gas and so forth and so on. So now, the shift is the tide is turning, the shift is being made, and then not only that, we have the evidence of, climate change, where, even back until, what was that, 2017, there were some of the highest recorded temperatures in the wintertime, and then, just recently, for those of you, especially those of you in Texas, you'll realize, it was getting warmer, 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 and then you had that big cold snap, and, mass, hundreds of thousands of people were left without power. And
Yeah.
so they have, stories where, those people that were without power, but there was maybe one house on the block that had solar. And so, some of the parents would say, okay, I know you can't take me, but at least take my children, and then they would, kind of soldier through, that ordeal.
So I know that there's a lot of benefits of solar. Why don't you share some of the benefits, the financial benefits? Because when we first started talking, I thought a lot of these benefits had expired, and then you shared no, they hadn't. So why don't you go ahead and share why it makes sense to think about solar?
Okay. Well, with especially when Barack Obama was in office, he was a major proponent of renewable energy, with solar leading the way. So those of you who've heard of Solyndra, the 500 million, so forth and so on. But their technology, and the reason they actually failed was because the tech that they were using, there was a shift in the market to make their tech basically obsolete. So there's a lot of hubbub and a lot of water cooler talk about why they failed, and the massive amount, 500 million, what have you. But that was it. It was a shift in material cost. That is why they failed. So there's that. But in terms of personal homes, single family homes, even condos and other office buildings, you gain energy independence. Meaning, when most people purchase their home, is their biggest investment. And so there are two things that you will never pay off. One is taxes, the other is utilities. If they can keep you on the hook, they will keep you on. And the thing about it is, you don't really know what you're paying for. They don't even know. They're just estimating it, guesstimating. There's a story where there was one person in New Jersey who was living next to a house that was vacant, and the utility company was adding the quote unquote, I guess, latent energy to the active homeowner's bill. So, and they were doing it for, a number of years. And then once he caught them, they're like, oh, well, we can give you a credit, but we're not going to give you your money back. So, had he had solar, he would have been independent. He wouldn't have had that issue. Number two, the tax benefits. There are massive tax benefits. There was 20 when it first started in 2018. It was 30% for the of the cost of the system. They call it ITC, income tax credit. And then in 2019, it was reduced to 26%, which was for 2019 and 2020. In 2021, it was supposed to be reduced again until 23%, and then it would sunset after 2023. But because because President Joe Biden is renewing that renewable energy push, he actually extended the 26% tax credit. So, and then on top of that, depending on where you live in the country, there are a few states and localities that are, phenomenal for solar. I mean, if you live in Washington, D.C., if you don't have solar, you need a brain examination, because it's just, you can actually pay for your system and still pocket, a massive amount of money. So is that. If you live in New Jersey, they actually have the second highest. And then, of course, in Maryland, it's not as high. And these are called what they call SRECs, or solar renewable energy credits, which are monies that states and localities pay producers, people who go solar, to incentivize them, to basically feed money back to the grid. And so, and then you have that on top of that, where if you produce more energy than your home uses, you can actually end up selling it back to the local utility. Of course, you're not going to get their rate, but it's a credit debit, because of course at night, there's no energy production. So if you have uses at night, you're going to be pulling from that credit. But at a certain time, your anniversary or what have you, if your credit is higher than what you debited, you'll get a check from Pepco or Dominion, or what's the other one up in New York, Con Ed. They'll be sending you checks. So, and then on top of that too, you're helping to save the planet. You're
Exactly.
Exactly. Like we talked about, climate change. Regardless of your, political, ideology, there are certain constants that are basically undeniable, and even those people down in Texas that probably did not believe, I bet you they're believers now.
I think you're right in terms of just the tax credits, the idea that you can earn some extra income. And from what you've been telling me too, there's no cost to put it on your roof, right?
Correct. So as long as you meet the qualifications, credit score wise, which is at least a 650, you can get them installed on your home at zero cost. So it's zero cost out of pocket to get an investment that will put money back into your home. As talking with different realtors and other first-time home buyers that I've come across, especially from apartment or condo to single family home, some of the biggest sticker shocks are the electricity and the water. They don't realize how much how much a home actually uses, how much they actually cost, and so if you can have a way to at least eliminate one of those bills, and again, getting, credit, if you help your neighbors go solar, you get referrals, there's massive ways to, make, from an investment and, just, have it benefit you financially as well.
So why don't you go ahead and repeat how people can contact you? So that way, those that are considering solar will be able to reach out to you.
Okay. So again, it's Oronde Wright. That's Oscar Robert Oscar Nancy David Echo, last name Wright with a W. Don't forget the W is for the win and the wallet. The win and the wallet. Phone number is 202-630-6741. And email again is owright, that's O Oscar, Wright with a W, at puresolarsystems.com.
So everyone who's thinking about, solar, I know that I'm exploring it. I'm exploring the ground side, ground panel side. But again, if you are thinking about solar, definitely reach out because the technology is there and we are definitely going to be able to, help our planet as well as help ourselves. Any last minute thoughts that you want to share with everyone who's listening before we sign off today?
Yes, so I'm glad you mentioned the advancements of technology because as we move forward and there's more investment into it, the
So you have temporarily frozen, but I
okay.
Go ahead.
Mercedes-Benz did the same thing. All of many of the luxury cars are doing that. Of course, if you know anything about electric vehicles, you've heard of Tesla, the sexy one. So, and then on top of that too, in terms of panels and energy production and conversion, the efficiency of the panels are increasing by leaps and bounds. So, there's in production, there's a panel that's quote unquote a 660 watt panel. So for those that, it's a little technical, but basically the short panels now are 385. So what this means to homeowners is, and building owners for that matter, is where it may have taken, 12 panels, to create 1 kilowatt, it may now take only 6, or 8. So, they're only, going to be getting more efficient. Battery for storage, definitely have the backup batteries for storage, because if you have any power outages, your home is safe and secure, especially with your security systems running, and then with your electric vehicles, you can charge your electric vehicles, and basically again, it's an investment that's going to put money into your home as opposed to taking it out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I am super excited about exploring this with you and seeing what will happen in my own backyard. I'll keep everyone posted. Definitely, reach out if you, for some reason, you can't remember all the various contact information. Just remember JCooperTravels@gmail.com. And I will definitely put you in contact so that way you can start to explore your own solar options as well. So thank you so much. I cannot
Ms.
wait.
Cooper,
Yes,
one more thing.
of course.
The money that they save, they can use to go on vacation.
That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. Yes, that's right. So thank you so much for that. So for everyone, definitely like and subscribe to J Cooper Travel so you can stay up to date with all the new episodes that are coming on. And I know as the solar industry gets updates, we'll have new episodes, and that way we can keep you up to date on how you can tie into all the other areas in your life as well. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.